I just got home from seeing Superman. First off, this didn't feel like a Superman movie. It felt more like a Lex Luthor movie. It felt like he was the only character who got any kind of development. It felt like we got a different version of Lex Luthor, but one who still is trying to take down Superman for being Superman. Clark nor Superman, neither of them fought anything in this movie. Now, of course, the trailer shows us Superman punching things. We get that scene of him falling from the sky, all bloodied and beaten up, but we don't actually see that fight. That's the first scene of the movie, and they tell us with text on screen that 3 minutes ago he lost a fight. And what that implies is whoever he was fighting, whatever he was fighting, either punched him so hard that he flew off and coincidentally landed literally 2 miles away from the Fortress of Solitude, or he was fighting and then retreated and ran away. And on his way back, he lost whatever energy he had and then fell however long, the 3 minutes, and landed again, coincidentally, 2 miles away from the Fortress of Solitude. Either way, neither of those make any sense. But there weren't any fights for Superman or for Clark. He was up against Lex Luthor and the idea that this alien has come to Earth to show humans how inferior they are. That is something that's been a part of Lex Luthor's character forever, and that's something that Superman has been dealing with forever. So he doesn't get any new conflict. He doesn't get anything else to fight. It's just Lex Luthor. But the way that the story is told is we get Lex Luthor as the main character of this movie. Kind of feels like Infinity War, where Thanos was the protagonist, albeit trying to destroy half of the universe. But that's what this felt like. It felt like Lex Luthor was leading this movie. And he did an amazing job. The writing for this character was great, it was excellent. But it also feels like it was written for another movie, and then they wrote Superman into that movie. We had Mr. Terrific. He got the lion's share of screen time aside from Clark, Superman, and Lex Luthor. We had Hawk Girl in there and Green Lantern, who were side characters that were wasted in this movie. It felt like Black Adam, the way they treated Dr. Fate and Hawkman. It was very underwhelming, both of those characters in this movie. I also thought it was weird that Hawk Girl's mace wasn't electric. It was just a regular mace. But we didn't get any backstory for either of them. They were a part of this team along with Mr. Terrific called the Justice Guys or Justice Club. It was a forgettable name, even though it's a joke throughout the movie. I still can't remember what it even was. It was Justice Dudes. I don't know. It was awful, really. And the joke that they kept making about it was also awful. But what was weird about that too is the Hall of Justice exists, which means there should be a Batman and there should be a Wonder Woman. But we don't get either of those characters in this movie. we got what looked like boom tubes. And I thought they were boom tubes originally. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. We've got Darkseid somewhere. But no, these are things that Lex Luthor created because he is a genius, which is fine. But that switcheroo kind of threw me off. Um, we got Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry from the Daily Planet, and none of these characters were more than who we already know them to be. Similar to Clark and Superman, we didn't get any character development for any of these people either. It was simply they exist within the Superman universe and we'll put them on screen. It was very underwhelming. And again, it wasn't a Superman movie or didn't feel like a Superman movie. It didn't even feel like a superhero movie because, again, Lex Luthor is trying to show the world that the Superman shouldn't be something we idolize. It shouldn't be something we look up to because we can never measure up to his level of fill in the blank. And he goes about that with all of his supervillain plans to destroy Superman, and Superman has to thwart those plans. But underneath it all, he's really just fighting Lex Luthor. Underneath it all, it's Lex Luthor in his movie trying to take down Superman. And Superman has to fly around and punch things, but that's just another day at the office for Superman. It's very strange the story that they told because it didn't feel like one got told, honestly. They gave General Zod's motivation from Zack Snyder's Superman to Clark's Krypton parents. The message that he was sent with was go to Earth, lead these people, show them who you are and what you can do for them. They are lost. They need you. But then there's the second half of that message. Spread your seed and grow a new Krypton on Earth. And then they turn that into the conflict. Now Superman has to fight the optics that he's there to rule the planet. But that goes on for about 7 minutes in the entire movie. There's really no stakes when it comes to the overall perception of who Superman is and what he stands for. So again, he's not fighting that either. I wasn't necessarily impressed with this movie. It borders on pointless, to be honest. I won't say that it was stupid by any means, but it was definitely pointless for us to have this Superman movie because it didn't give us anything. It didn't. What was it that Clark and Superman had to struggle with? He had his powers. Everyone knew he existed. He's already dating Lois Lane. What was his struggle? Because again, public perception of him was positive, except for about 7 minutes in the movie. And then we immediately learn that Lex Luthor was behind that message. He was behind all the things that made Superman look like he was a threat. One of Lex's other plans that was taken from Zack Snyder's Batman versus Superman was when Lex staged some kind of action in another country where Superman had to intervene. Well, he does that in this movie too, and that's kind of the conversation is should Superman be acting unilaterally on behalf of, and then you don't know who he's acting on behalf of. So we kind of get questioned about whether or not he should be doing these things, but we get that in the trailer, and that's all that conversation is. And Lex Luthor plays up on that by trying to convince the US government that he should take control of the capture and justice for Superman and his actions because these other two countries didn't necessarily ask for his help, but it seemed as though America intervened for no reason and damage was done and he did some questionable things. Nobody was killed, of course, but again, he was acting upon fill in the blank, intervening in the events of two other countries that have nothing to do with America per se. So that was also something that came from Zack Snyder. It was felt very inspired by the Zack Snyder films. However, I will say it did feel like a James Gunn movie. There was a lot of music, there were a lot of colors, there were a lot of jokes, and the movie tried to have fun. And for the most part, where it tried to have fun, it was having fun, but it wasn't the point of the movie. It was distracting. It was, why is this part of the movie? What kind of tone are you trying to set here? It was very confusing at some point. I'm not sure where we go with the next movie, either a Superman movie or any other DC character they decide to bring in, but it'll be interesting to see what James Gunn does next.